I am with John Currie, the former athletic director at Kansas State and Tennessee, and now an instructor at Columbia University in New York. And thank you so much for sitting down with us. And sort of as a starting point, just want to ask you, what is your leadership philosophy that has guided you throughout your career?
Well, I've been really fortunate. I've had a lot of great mentors and people I've learned from in my 25 years on campus at three different institutions. Ultimately, as college athletics leaders, we're servants, and we're serving our student athletes, we're serving our universities and their alumni and constituencies.
So, being an instructor, that's kind of have you instructed before? Is this your first time?
Well, I've done some lecturing at classes
Yeah.
through the years, but this is the first time teaching an actual class. And we're very fortunate at Columbia. We have some great curriculum designers and instructional designers, and they're coaching me up on this, what is going to be a 1-week block class. So it's essentially a whole semester-long class compressed into a 1-week format in late May.
And so, what is it? I'm curious. What is it? What's the curriculum for it?
Columbia has the Ivy League's only Masters in Sports Administration. And
Okay.
so this particular class is in the School of Professional Studies, which is where the Masters in Sports Administration program is housed. Scott Rossner is the director of that program. And he invited me to come participate in some format, and I'll be teaching a class on intercollegiate athletics that week.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Fantastic. From all the athletic directors I've talked to over the years, everybody says at some point in time, we're all going to serve our time in the penalty box. We just don't always know when it's going to come. And you went through a pretty unprecedented situation this past year at Tennessee. Coming out of that, what are the three things that you think people watching this video who are aspiring athletic directors or are athletic directors, what are sort of the three key takeaways that you think they can really learn from what happened?
Well, first of all, we always have to stick with our core values and our integrity. Mm-hmm. And I never wavered from mine in that process. We also have to remember that we have to be professionals. And despite whatever the circumstances are around us, we're the ones that are expected to operate with that integrity, to protect our student athletes and our institutions, and we have to remember that. The other thing that I would say that I've been reminded of is how important our support systems, our personal support systems are around us. Our families, our colleagues, our professional colleagues. You know, we're really lucky, thanks to you in this environment, that we do have deep relationships across the country, and hearing from those folks throughout this period of time for me and their support has been really reassuring and reaffirming.
One component of this is the personal side,
Right.
and the athletic director job, coaching job. I mean, these can be all consuming roles, and we love our families, but we're just physically not there sometimes. So what have you learned about that component and the personal side of this athletic director career that you've been reminded of coming out of this situation?
Well, first of all, my wife, Mary Lawrence, and I will celebrate 20 years of marriage this June. I think we're going to make it, despite all the challenges. And so I'm reminded what a wonderful person I was blessed with to share my life. This athletics director business is really a lifestyle. It's not really a job. And my children have told me that they really like it. And as we've gone through this tribulation, I've been reminded about how resilient they are. I had on the day that December 1st, I had one child that went on to school and did everything that she was going to do anyways, and I had another child that took it as an opportunity that maybe he didn't have to go to school that particular day. So they've been adaptable, and I've tried my best to set an example that when we go through trials and tribulations and adversity, we can't depart from who we are. We can't depart from our core values. We can't panic. We got to keep marching through, and we get on the other side, and we look back and we realize that everybody goes through tough times, and it was our turn.
I think back in my own life, you are about the same age, and in times where I have had, challenges with a job, I look back, and at the time, maybe we don't realize but then later on I see how I've grown and become better from that. So I'm curious, even though it hasn't been very long, 6-8 months, how is John Currie going to be better in your next role given what you've experienced?
Well, we certainly have another layer of scar tissue that grows over time in a job like this. But one thing I realized after being with my family for really 5 or 6 straight weeks and then being away for a little bit, I realized how I've become desensitized to being away from my family. And so I will be more focused on continuing to make sure that I am present with my family despite whatever work I'm doing.
Yeah, I just was curious. I mean, sometimes it's not until you go through a situation that you develop sort of empathy for the fact, because, in this day and age with social media and with the continuous sort of information coming our way, things can happen so quickly. Have you developed sort of a deeper level of empathy when you see other people maybe pulled into situations?
Absolutely. With digital media and the ability for inputs into that digital media scene to come from anywhere without any real evidence of fact or basis in fact, you see sometimes people that are going through tough times in leadership positions and they can't really respond because of the nature of what they're doing. And so you do feel for people that are going through that.
We talked about some of the lessons learned for other people watching this video and maybe ADs or people who want to be ADs. But when you reflect on it personally, what are sort of the top things that you take away that you've learned from this moving forward in your own career?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly grateful for the relationships that I've built over 25 years. And I heard from so many people, some of whom I hadn't talked to in a long time, that told me they were thinking about me, that they trusted me and believed in me. And I'm grateful for that. And it's a great reminder about making sure that you do pay attention to your relationships and continue to keep those up through the years. The other part about it is perseverance. Tough times are going to come. Stuff's going to happen that's completely unprecedented and unforeseen, and you adapt to it and continue to drive forward.
The reason you're here is because the athletic director community respects you so much that they valued the lessons that you had for them out of all of this. But I'm also curious if there were some lessons near and dear to you that you learned about yourself that you take away from this.
Well, the last 4 months in staying connected with friends and professional colleagues throughout the country, going to some different kinds of conferences, whether it's a Black Student Athlete Leadership Conference or being executive in residence at Robert Morris. One of the things I've been reminded of is that I'm not a solitary person. I like to be part of a team, and I look forward to the next opportunity to be back on someone's team.